And so there was this work with alcohol that showed that it didn't affect those monetary delay discounting decisions, $9 now versus $10 later.
With
And I'm like,
alcohol.
getting people drunk. And I thought to myself, are you telling me that getting someone, that people being drunk does not cause people, at least sometimes, to choose what's good for them in the short term at the expense of what's good for them to in the long term? It's like, bullshit, we see but in what context does that happen? So that's something that inspired me to go in this direction of like, risky sexual decisions is something they do when they're drunk. They don't necessarily go home and even though some people have gambling problems and alcohol interacts with that, the most typical thing is not for people to go home, log on and change their allocation in their retirement account or something like that.
But they're more likely risky sexual decisions. They're more likely to not wait the 5 minutes for the condom, and instead go no condom now.
Right. That's a big effect. And we see that. And interestingly, we do not see with those different drugs, we don't see an effect if we just look at that zero delay condition. In other words, the condom's right there waiting to be used. How likely are to use it? You don't see it. I mean, people are by and large going to use the condom.
Yeah.
So, and that's the way most of this research outside of behavioral economics that's just looked at condom use decisions, very little of which has ever actually administered the drugs, which is another unique aspect. But they usually just look at like assuming the condom is there. But this is more using behavioral economics to delve in and model something that, and I've done survey research on this, modeling what actually happens. Like you meet someone at a laundromat, like you weren't planning on like, and it's like one thing leads to another, they live around the corner, these things, and like we did one survey with men who have sex with men and found that 25% of them, 24%, about a quarter, reported in the last 6 months that they had unprotected anal intercourse, which is the most risky in terms of sexually transmitted infection. In the last 6 months, in a situation where they would have used a condom, but they simply didn't use one just because they didn't have one on them.
Mm-hmm.
So this, to me, it's like, unless we delve into this and understand these suboptimal conditions, we're not going to fully address the problem. There's plenty of people that say, yep, condom use is good. I use it a lot of the time. It's like, where is that failing? And it's under these suboptimal conditions, which if you think about it, it's like most of the case. Action is unfolding. Things are getting hot and heavy. Someone's like, do you got a condom? No. It's like, do they break the action and take 10 minutes to go to the convenience store or whatever? Maybe everything's closed. Maybe they got to wait till tomorrow.
And there's something to be studied there on that just seems like an unfortunate set of circumstances. Like, what's the solution to that? What's the psychology that needs to be taken apart there? Because it just seems like that's the way of life. We don't expect the things that to happen. Are we supposed to expect them better, to be self-aware enough about our calculations? Or you see the 10-minute detour to a convenience store as a kind of thing that we need to understand how we humans evaluate the cost of that?
I think in terms of like how we use this to help people,
yes, yeah,
it's mostly on the environment side rather than on the
individual side. Cool.
Yeah, although those interact. So it's like, in one sense, especially if let's say you're going to be drinking or using another substance that is associated with a stimulant, alcohol and stimulants go along with risky sex. Good to be aware that you might make decisions, just to tell yourself you might make a decision that that you wouldn't have made in your sober state. And so, hey, throwing a condom in the purse in the pocket, might be a good idea. I think at the environmental level, just more condom it highlights what we know about just making condoms widely available. Something that I'd like to do is like reinforcing condom use. Just getting people used to carrying a condom everywhere they go, because it's once it's in someone's habit. If they are, say, like a young single person, and it's they occasionally have unprotected sex, like training those people. Like, what if you got a text message, once every few days saying, if you send back a photo of a condom within a minute, you get a reward of $5. You could shape that up like that. It's a process called contingency management. It's basically just straight up operant reinforcement. You could shape that up with no problem. And I mean, those procedures of contingency management, giving people systematic rewards, is like, for example, the most powerful way to reduce cocaine use in addicted people. And
Is what?
but by saying, if you show me a negative urine for cocaine, I'm going to give you a monetary reward, and like that has huge effects in terms of decreasing cocaine use. If that can be that powerful for something like stopping cocaine use, how powerful could that be for shaping up just carrying a condom? Because the primary, unlike cocaine use, here we're not saying you can't have the main reward. Like, you could still have sex, and you can even have sex in the way that you tell yourself you'd rather do it, if a condom is available. So like, you're not, it's relatively speaking, it's way easier than like not using cocaine if you like using cocaine. It's just basically getting in the habit of carrying a condom. So that's just one idea of like what.
There could be also the capitalistic solutions of like, there could be a business opportunity for like a DoorDash for condoms.
Oh, yeah.
Like delivery.
I thought about this
within 5-minute delivery of a condom at any location, like Uber for condoms.
I've thought about it, not with condoms, but a very similar line of thinking, a line that you're going into in terms of Uber and people getting drunk when they into the bar planning to have one or two, they ended up having 5 or 6, and it's like, okay, yeah, you could take the cab home, the Uber home.
Yeah.
But you've left your car there. It might get towed. You might there's also the hassle of just, you want to wake up tomorrow with your hangover and forget about it and move on.
Yep.
Like, and I think a lot of people in their situation, and they're like, screw it. I'm going to take the risk. Just get it. What if you had an Uber service where you have a car come out with 2 drivers, and one of them, 2 sober drivers, obviously, and the person the one driver drops off the other, that then drives you home in their car, in your car.
Yeah.
So that you can, I think a lot of people would pay $50. It's going to be more than a regular Uber.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's going to be done. I got the money. I already spent $60 at the bar tonight. Like, just get the damn thing done. Tomorrow I'm done with it. I wake up, my car's in front of my house. Yeah. I think that would be, someone could, I'm not going to open that business. So like, if anyone hears this and wants to take off with that, like, I think it could help a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. And Uber itself, I would say, helped a huge amount of people, just making it easy to make the decision of going home, not driving yourself.
I read about in Austin where I don't know where it's at now, where they outlawed Uber for a while, because of the whole taxi cab union type thing. And how just, there were like hordes of drunk people that were used to Uber that now didn't have a cheap alternative.
We didn't exactly mention, you've done a lot of studies on sexual decision making with different drugs. Is there some interesting insights or findings on the difference between the different drugs? So I think you said meth as well. So cocaine. Is there some interesting characteristics about decision making that these drugs alter versus like alcohol, all those kinds of things?
I think, and there's much more to study with this, but I think the biggie there is that the stimulants, they create risky sex by really increasing the rewarding value of sex. Like, if you talk to people that are really, especially that are hooked on stimulants, one of the biggies is like, sex on coke or meth is like so much better than sex without. And that's a big part of why they have trouble quitting, because it's so tied to their sex life.
So it's not that your decision making is broken. It's just that you allocate.
It's a different aspect of their decision. Yeah, on the reward side. I think on the alcohol, it works more through disinhibition. It's like, alcohol is really good at reducing the ability of a delayed punisher to have an effect on current behavior. In other words, there's this bad thing that's going to happen tomorrow or a week from now or 20 years from now. Being drunk is a really good way. And you see this in like rats making decisions. A high dose of alcohol makes someone less sensitive to those consequences. So I think that's the lever that's being hit with alcohol. And it's the increasing the rewarding value of sex by the psychostimulants on that side. We actually found that and it was amazing because like hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent by NIH to study the connection between cocaine and HIV. Like, we ran the first study on my grant that like actually just gave people cocaine under double-blind conditions and showed that like, when people are on coke, like their ratings of sexual desire, even though they're not in a sexual situation. Yeah, you show them some pictures, but they're just saying they're horny. Like you get subjective ratings of like how much sexual desire are you feeling right now. People get horny when they're on stimulants, and
do you have
a lot of people say duh if they really know these drugs.
But that's a rigorous study that's in the lab that shows like there's a plot.
The dose effects of that, the time course of that. Yeah, it's not
can
just.
You please tell me there's a paper with a plot that shows dose versus evaluation of like horniness.
Yeah, we didn't say horniness. We said sexual arousal. Yeah, basically, yeah.
There's a plot. I'm going to find this plot.
Right, I'll send it to you. There was one headline from some publicity on the work that said, horny cocaine users don't use condoms or something like that. Like,
you gotta love journalism.
Like, I wouldn't have put it that way, but like, yeah, that's
I guess that's
right
what
on.
it finds.